So many of you asked me about hooks and how to change the old ESP extensions with this new approach. I just wanted to show you an example that is included in the code I shared with you in the materials. This is this search facet. Okay, in 6.2 or in previous versions, you need to extend the search facets, which are these menus you can see in the search results, with a hook file. Okay. Now the way it's done is you provide a service of the type search facet, which is declared here in this with this component annotation, and then you implement the methods of this interface. Basically, you provide the path to your configuration file and well, whatever options that are included in facets. Okay. So this is this is an example of how to extend Liferay behavior. In this case, the search portlet behavior with a new service with a new component, and the same applies to many other extensions. So okay, so now it's a matter of finding the right extension point and the right extension interface, and add an implementation of this interface in your projects. Okay, I thought I had a list of those extension points in the slides, but it's not included. So I will try to get it. Okay, and I will share it with you. I don't know, through Twitter or maybe in the library forums. Okay. So coming back to the workshop. Okay, so we have like half an hour left. I just wanted to I would love to say say that this is over. We've done with the upgrade, but unfortunately there are still things to do. Okay, so what's next? Data. We haven't talked about data upgrade. Okay, what if you had some data in your applications that needs to be upgraded when you move to Liferay DXP? Okay. So, well, Liferay DXP provides a new upgrade API. If you take a look to our very own modules in the Liferay repository, like the journal service modules, you will find XXX upgrade class, which are implementation of this API. And basically, you register steps through which your data model should go till you reach the expected point. Okay. In the code I shared with you, I provided an example of an upgrade class that upgrades the portlet name from the old WAR names to the new modular fashion names. Okay, this is not mandatory, but it's something we did with all our portlets in Liferay. You take a look, in the database, all the portlet names have changed. And so I did this as an example of how to register an upgrade process in an application, and you can take it as a reference to create your own upgrade processes for your apps. Okay. There are more information about these. These two links will guide you through how the upgrade tools in Liferay 7 works, and how to create upgrade process in your own applications. Okay, so all the details are here. And again, you have the source code of the Liferay portal as a reference. And there are even more things to do when upgrading to an application to Liferay. This time it depends on how far you want to go. But one of the things we put a lot of effort in Liferay DXP was the experience. That is the X in Liferay DXP. Okay, so we changed many of the usability patterns in Liferay, and the guidelines of these patterns are defined in what we call Lexicon. Okay, so the Lexicon, as I said, provides information to create applications, both Liferay application and non-Liferay application, like mobile applications, to be fluid and extensible, and is also very well documented. So if you want your apps to use those patterns so that they behave the same as Liferay standard applications, then I recommend you to go through these documents and try to apply these changes to your apps. Okay, for time reasons and because the scope of the workshop will be too big. I only added a couple of lexicon changes in the Jukebox API. Namely, I added some new fluid classes to the configuration forms of the portlet. So now they are responsive. Okay, that's one of the recommended things you will find in these documents. Okay, if you take a look to the repository I shared with the code, where all the changes are described in a commit, you will find like the last commit is the lexicon. This is very first lexicon adaptation. Okay, this can be a very large process, and it depends on what you want to achieve with your application. If it's an internal or an external application, it's up to you. But I really recommend you at least to take a look to this and decide whether you want to apply these criteria in your applications. Okay. We also provide an alternative for very long portlet classes. If you took a look to the examples I provided in the Jukebox project, we had a Jukebox portlet class, which is quite long. Okay, so a good practice would be to split this class into small classes. Okay, and now this is possible with a new MVC portlet included in Liferay 7. Basically, you can, as I said, split very large portlet class into render, action, and resource command classes. So you will, at the end of the day, you will have a class for every render, action, or resource command that your application may have. For instance, you will have, if you take a look again to the Liferay repository, you will find an edit journal article command and view render view article render command. So you will find a class for every render or action event you have in your application. This is not mandatory, but it's a good practice to keep your portlet classes small, especially if you have a very complex application. You will find complete information about this new MVC framework in this link, and as I showed you earlier, we have blade templates for this type of application. So I also recommend you to play with it. So I would like to take the last minutes of the workshop to do a brief recap of what we learned today. Okay. Well, this is like a 1 minute summary. So you may be thinking, okay, I could have skipped the 1 hour and a half of workshop with just this slide. Hopefully, and I'm sorry if I was very fast today. The idea of this workshop, again, was not to migrate the Jukebox portlet live here. Okay, that will be a very interesting exercise, and it will involve that all of you have the right environment ready. So I think it's better if you focus on the guidelines, you extract the information that is generic and you can apply it to your own project, and very important, you get all the materials, I mean the environment, you get the links to the documentation, you get some advice from us, and then you go home and you apply it to your own projects, okay? So let's let's recap what we learned. So first of all, what you learned, you should be able to choose your upgrade strategy. You can decide either if you want to either adapt or convert your application. Okay, remember, adapting means your app suffers the minimum amount of changes so that it's deployable in Liferay 7. And convert means that you want to adopt the new modular paradigm, and you really convert, you really transform your monolithic plugin app portlet into a modular application. Now, please follow the best practices. Okay, remember this list I showed you before the upgrade process. Keep the history, have your test ready, try to split your the upgrade in tasks as small as possible. Okay, and as I said, you have all you need to start. Well, if not right now, because we have the keynote late, after this workshop, but late at home or when you go back home, you have the environment. Okay, we share with you the Liferay Developer Studio with a trial license, but if you want to use any other alternative environment, you can. As I said, we also provide the blade templates for command line. You have the code. We provided the 4 snapshots of the process in the USB sticks, but you have access to the whole code with, and as I said, every commit is a step in this repository. And you have a lot of documentation. We made a great effort to document all that we've changed from Liferay 6.2 to 7. We may have failed in some areas, something may be missing. So we ask you to provide your feedback, and if you think we should add some new tutorials or we should extend the one we have now, please tell us, and we'll be more than glad to extend them. Okay. And finally, well, contacts. Okay, so the preferred way for contact are the forums. It's not that I'm lazy, I don't want to answer your thousands of mails, but remember that probably any questions you may have about the upgrading process will be shared by many people. Okay, so that's why we prefer you to use the forums. Please, if you have any question, any generic question about the upgrading process, add it there. And if you have questions very specific about this workshop, I mean, the materials are not working, or I don't know, the slides are missing some link, then you can send me an email, and I'll be glad to help you. Okay. So I wanted to save some minutes for question and answer. Some of you came during the break to ask some questions, but now we have around 10 minutes to solve any questions you may have about the upgrade process. So go ahead and any questions? Well, oh yeah, over there, Bruno. Yeah.
But I didn't get it because it was
sure.
too fast away.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm going to show that. I think it's very important that you have the slides because I don't want you to take notes during the workshop, but to pay attention to the explanation. And you can get them from here. And all the steps I described today in the workshop are are much better explained in the slides with the pics and the references to the materials I provided, and also to the official Liferay documentation. So please take it as not as a reference, because again, the reference is the official Liferay documentation, but as a guide towards through the upgrading process. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so again, probably you don't have the questions now because you just, you listened to the workshop, you got all the materials, and you still haven't started the upgrade process yet. So it makes sense. I just ask you to please start, try to do at least, if not your project yet, at least try to reproduce the exercise at home. Make sure that you understand the steps, you understand the options you have to upgrade your project, you understand what tools are provided for you to upgrade your projects. Make sure you scan the documentation we provided to detect what's useful in your cases and what's missing, and then send your questions. Okay, as I said, through the forums optimally, or through email in case it's something very specific about this workshop. Okay. Then, well, that's good. We finished a little before schedule. I want to thank you all for attending the workshop. I think it's a very important matter for you, because we want you to be happy with the new Liferay DXP, with the new Liferay version. And the first step for you to use it is helping you to migrate to your projects and to migrate you as developers to this new version. So I'll be more than happy if I get a lot of feedback from you, even if it's questions, because that means you are trying to do it, and I'm sure you will eventually get to that. So thank you again for coming.